Now let's get started. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the broadcast. This is going to be the greatest game ever played by Rotterdam. Speaking of which, we have down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, not Rotterdam. It's in fact the red Protoss player, the enemy in a sense. It is Mighty Putty. A name that strikes fear into the hearts of many. And up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Protoss player. It is our hero, the beloved commentator. It's Rotterdam, also known as the Notorious on this account. And the map is going to be Blood Boil. This is a map made by Avex. It's one of the newer maps in the map pool that just came out but a few days ago. And you can notice a couple of interesting features. First of all, you do have an in-base natural expansion. There are some rocks that kind of make it a little bit less in-base, potentially later on. You have this low ground expansion that does kind of open up into the rest of the world. And there's this kind of back pathway that leads into a potential third. Over to Zelnaga Watchtower, you have some rocks over here. And if you keep moving down and around, you'll see it does open up into the rest of the map. Of course, your opponent's going to have the exact same thing. And we are spawning into a Protoss versus Protoss. Really have no idea what's going to be happening. This is, in fact, my first game that I am commentating on any of the newer maps. I've definitely looked at Blood Boil. I've formed my own personal opinions on it, but I haven't really actually gotten a chance to commentate or watch even too many games on it. A couple of various ladder game streams here and there. I catch a few games on some of the new maps, but not really too many. Either way, though, should be really interesting. The really, I think, big notes or big things worth noting is that in the PvP, you end up going into Disruptor versus Disruptor, and Zelnaga Watchtowers can be invaluable when you get into those kind of battles. You really want to be able to keep an eye on your opponent's army and get the jump on them in a lot of ways. The other big thing is, I think, just having in-base natural expansions so easily accessible is going to make it a lot better to just go for those early expansions earlier on and go into a bit of a late game a bit faster. But of course, we do have Stargate coming out from Rotterdam, and Rotterdam is pretty notorious, you might say, for going for that Stargate play. He really does have a couple of very funky play styles that he loves to employ. Generally, with a lot of Phoenix. He's also, of course, known for opening up with a couple of Oracles every so often. But Phoenix DT is one of the kind of weirder play styles that I think Rotterdam does, and not in a joking manner. Sometimes people will encounter him on the ladder and think, oh man, Rotterdam played so weird and cheesy versus me. No, that's actually just his normal play style, doing things like Phoenix DT. But we have Adept sending themselves across the map. Looks like Mighty Putty going to cancel his Adept Shades first, and instead goes after Rotterdam's Adept. He's going to actually be able to get a pretty good trade over here. Ooh, no, Rotterdam managing to get away with his Adept is going to be really nice, because now he's going to start rebuilding those shields. I think that one of the Adepts has already been picked off by the Mothership Core, as the Mothership Core is now sitting with that one kill. Photon Overcharge also going to be able to eventually take out that Adept in conjunction with the Mothership. Or sorry, the Mothership Core itself. But Twilight Council gets thrown down. I don't believe Rotterdam actually got close enough to that Twilight Council to scout it out, so no. He saw the double gateway opening. He's not really going to have too much information. And of course, the natural expansion itself is much further back into the main base, so going to have very little vision of exactly what's going on. Either way, though, first two Phoenix are already out. This is pretty interesting, and he does, in fact, go for the scout directly with that first Phoenix, so not even trying to hide it. Didn't go for an Oracle, which is, I suppose, one of the more interesting things, but Mighty Putty finally getting his first scout out on exactly what Rotterdam is up to. Trying to send his Adept Shade up this way. I think he thought that he could just move up that ramp and scout things out, but realizing, no, that's not actually the case. Ooh, Phoenix are going to get a pickup on the Adept and kill it off potentially. This is really nice. It may not seem like a big deal, but just denying the scout on that natural expansion is a pretty nice thing. It just opens up the potential for a lot of the Phoenix all-ins that sometimes do happen, especially if your name's not Rotterdam. Well, even Rotterdam, I think, has done a Phoenix all-in in PvP here and there. But it is definitely something to be feared. Either way, though, now the Phoenix is going to be able to exert some sense of map presence and a bit of map dominance, if anything else. just because they can pick up a couple of stray probes that are mining. It's very difficult for a Protoss player to cover both of these expansions versus Phoenix that just kind of dart in, going after the Magicor, baiting out both of the Fortune overcharges without really taking too much damage on these Phoenix. One Phoenix a little bit lower. The Stalkers are trying to come in time, and it looks like that Phoenix is going to be the one that did the pickup, so already getting very low on health, but Rotterdam does keep it alive, and that's worth a lot considering those shields are regen. Both these players, though, do have their expansions taken. Rotterdam falling slightly behind in terms of worker production. So yeah, just 31, but Magicor doesn't have any more energy to do any more Fortune overcharges. Getting low on shields. Got to be a bit careful with that, but Blink will be finishing up for Mighty Putty pretty soon. And that's going to really make it a lot easier for him to finally deal with some of these Phoenix. But it's these small little pickoffs that really do start to add up. You can already see that Rotterdam is catching up. He's only 3 workers behind instead of the 5 or 8 that he was before. And he's continuing Phoenix production. Off of 1 Stargate, he's got up a Robo. He's getting out those skinned Immortals as well. But almost loses a Phoenix over there. It doesn't look like he's lost any so far. Lost those 2 early Adepts, but some really good damage getting done. Now only 2 workers behind. Needs to keep on top of that worker production, though, if he wants to stay ahead, or get ahead at any point, I should say. But his tech is going to be his big advantage. These Immortals are going to be power units. Having the Phoenix around also helps out. When your opponent's army is in low numbers, Phoenix are incredibly valuable. Picking off your opponent's Immortals, or at least taking them out of the fight. But really, Mighty Putty just doesn't feel like he has a lot of tech. This Warp Prism is finally coming out. Ooh, second Warp Prism also queued up. That's a very interesting maneuver. Against this many Phoenix, that is a very ballsy maneuver. Well, taking off some probes. Rotterdam does get the scout out on the 3rd, and, well, the 3rd's already been thrown down, so there's really not a whole lot he can do about it, but he will use up some of the energy. Oh, he's going to be losing a couple of Phoenix over here. 1 Phoenix, 2 Phoenix. 2 Phoenix go down. 3rd one very low on, or, completely lost all of its shields. Looks a couple of Stalkers. Ooh, look at these light rays. Man, today I learned light rays just continue to go up as the Phoenix lift up a Warping Stalker. But it looks like the Warp Prism is getting it sniped off. Even keeps more of those Phoenix alive without really losing any more of them. Either way, though, I do feel like Rotterdam has just completely been exerting control. The problem is he does not have a 3rd just yet. And he's got a lot of these Immortals. He's got the better army in a lot of ways, and he's been able to do a lot of these pickoffs to catch up in that worker supply, but ultimately he's going to be falling behind economically until this 3rd gets up. And by that point, yeah, this kind of move out is going to get really scary because the Phoenix have to catch this Warp Prism. Oh, that's exactly what they're going to do. I think they do catch the Warp Prism, but he's also very far out of position for the Stalkers. The Stalkers do not decide to move into the natural expansion of the 3rd expansion. Either way, though, Phoenix going in, gung-ho on the Stalkers. The Stalkers abandon ship and say, to hell with this, we're going for your main. May end up working out, but it's not continuing. It halts for a moment. Every second counts right now. He's got to get some damage done. Mighty Putty finds an Immortal, but now the Phoenix come in. They're going to be able to pick up every single one of these Stalkers, and there is no escape. No Blink can help you out when you can't go blinking anywhere. Try and blink a little bit further out, but really the only thing that they're accomplishing is wasting some of the energy on these Phoenix, which by the way is actually all pretty low. I think almost none of them have any more energy left to pick up, but either way, very good trade, I would say, for Rotterdam. Now sitting up at 110 supply, and finally has that 3rd finishing up. Now granted, Stalkers, they're kind of valuable, but at the same time, they are one of the more expendable units if you compare them to things like Immortals, if you compare them to things like Phoenix, or any of the other units that just kind of come out one at a time. But still, Mighty Putty still needs a bigger army. Ooh, catching a Stalker, and may be able to catch some of the Phoenix. The Phoenix kind of in high enough numbers to take on low Stalker counts, but really, Rotterdam going to be wanting to wait for some of these reinforcements. Doesn't want to lose too many of these Phoenix. They are still exerting quite a bit of map presence. And being able to pick up things like the Immortals is insanely nice. Double Fortune overcharge. Rotterdam does not want to fight into that if he doesn't have to. Probes starting to be pulled, but oh man. This is a really dicey situation right now for Mighty Putty. I don't believe he has any of the tech coming down either. He's got the 1 Robo. He's got a Twilight Council, but he doesn't have a Robo Bay. He's only just now adding on a couple more gateways. He's up to 8, so he's at a pretty decent number, but wait a second. Rotterdam, wait a second. You're still producing these units out of your gateway. You don't have Warp Gate research. Oh my god, this is like typical Rotterdam too. I can't believe I missed that. Either way, the couple stalkers do get one Phoenix pick off, but was it worth it? I think that Mighty Putty's going to be asking himself that as he loses 3 or 4 stalkers in exchange for 1. Okay. Well, Mighty Putty does have Warp Gate research, and Warp Gate research is actually a pretty big deal because it's not just about being able to warp in on the other side of the map. It's also about the faster cooldown on it. Either way, though, these Immortals doing some serious work, but the Adepts on the front line are going to make it a lot harder for them to get that work done. Rotterdam starts focus firing down some of the stalkers, lifting up the Immortals, taking out the big powerhouses, as Immortals do a lot of damage to other Immortals, but the Adept count has just gotten a little bit out of control. Looks like Rotterdam has to abandon ship. He's going to be losing all of his Immortals in the process, and suddenly the army supply is actually pretty evened up. Mighty Putty starting to bring this back. He did keep his 3rd expansion alive, and that's worth a lot, but he needs that transitionary tech. He desperately, I think, needs that transitionary tech. Even, he does have Resonating Glaive, so I guess there is that. Do Adepts count as transitionary tech? I'm not so sure. There are still a lot of Phoenix around, and Phoenix do pick up Adepts, kill them very quickly. Rotterdam is going to be the one that is going to have to deal with these Dark Templar, though, and the Archons can be very effective. Archons will tank a lot of shots from Rotterdam's Immortals. The Phoenix cannot pick them up, and if Rotterdam keeps warping in Zealots and also making even Adepts, they aren't going to fare so well versus a large number of Archons. And of course, there's just the straight-up DTs themselves that force out detection that I don't think Rotterdam has. Okay, no, he does have an Observer. He has 1 Observer on the map, but 1 Observer can backfire on you if you do not invest into more. Unfortunately for Rotterdam, he's busy making Immortals right now. Oh man, the rocks haven't been knocked down. Photon Overcharge, though, with a couple of warp-ins for Stalkers, is going to make this defense a lot better. Photon Overcharge already taken out a couple of these Phoenix. 2 have already fallen, and it looks like more are likely going to end up falling pretty soon. Surprisingly enough, the rest of the army is just taking so long to get here that he might actually be able to outlast. Yeah, he outlasts the Photon Overcharge and still continuing to pick off these Stalkers. So even though Rotterdam takes a lot of Phoenix losses, he at least trades out for something. And once again, Rotterdam is up in supply. He's got his gold expansion established, which is one of the features of Blood Boil I haven't really talked too much about. Mighty Putty did the exact same thing, but he has not quite saturated it just yet. Probably, he must be oversaturated somewhere. He's got a lot of workers. It looks like he's just transferring some of them over now. Still, 66 workers. I would think he could still saturate almost all 4 bases. Either way, though, gold expansion will get saturated for both players. And okay, it looks like we just got another gateway being thrown down. Still no signs of Warp Gate for Rotterdam. You know, to hell with Warp Gates. When you got 5 gateways, you don't need Warp Gate. Apparently. He doesn't even have a second Robo. He just got a second Stargate down now. So he's reproducing some of those Phoenix he lost. This is actual insanity, but here we go. DTs being warped in for Mighty Putty. Not so squishy anymore. Well, actually, no. DTs are pretty squishy, but the Photon Cannon's gonna get taken out. Oh, no! Beautiful pickups just in the nick of time. That Photon Cannon down to just 3 hit points. Oh, glorious save. That could have caused a lot of headaches later on. Looks like Mighty Putty uses this as an opportunity to move in while the Phoenix are out of position and can't really lift up any of those Immortals or the Stalkers. Rotterdam's army is getting heavily choked up behind his own gateway and even just 1 or 2 force seals, making this really, really difficult. I think that Mighty Putty's getting a much better engagement than he would have expected to, but he's taking out a lot of the Zealots, which don't have charge. Oh my god, Rotterdam, you're making so many Zealots, but you don't have charge. He does have a Twilight Council. I think this may have just been something he forgot to research or something. He's been making Zealots for a while. I mean, he does have a handful of Stalkers and still has a lot of Immortals, but man, charge would have helped out a lot, I think, just getting a better engagement. Stalkers engaging by themselves. The Adepts need to get into the front lines to tank that damage with the Immortals, but the focus fire from some of Rotterdam's Immortals is pretty good. Now going after those Adepts. Once those are cleaned up, these Stalkers do not stand a chance, but they're going to try and get the free damage done while they can, and then a blink out of there, takes out one of the Immortals, another Immortal solo on health. He goes in for the kill, but isn't quite able to get it. More Adepts come streaming on in, though. Looks like Rotterdam's army is starting to thin out. He has a lot of power units, but, I mean, power units do well when they have a backup support of a core army, and he does not have that anymore. Mighty Putty with the reinforcing gateway units is going to reign supreme. I'm actually amazed that Rotterdam can continue. How is he doing this? How is he spending his money on only 6 gateways? I guess he does still have this double Stargate. He's getting up a 5th expansion, which again, the fact that Rotterdam's economy is good and he's still spending all of his money without Warp Gate is just perplexing me. For those who don't know, Warp Gate technology brings your cooldown down, and this may be, I think this may be a pre-Legacy of the Void number, but it still should be a relatively same. It goes from making your units in about 40 seconds or so, or I think it's like 38 seconds, down to 23 seconds. It takes almost 15 seconds off of the production time, which is actually insane. So Rotterdam not doing this, I feel like it's got to be a deliberate, almost trolling choice at this point. It's like a challenge he's set for himself, and God damn it, he is making it work. Although his money is starting to build up a little bit, he's going to be spending that pretty quickly as he does get up the Templar Archives, getting up Storm of all things. Now, let's also talk about this weird restriction that Mighty Putty has also placed on himself. Only now is he getting up the Archons, but effectively he has been sitting on a purely gateway army with a handful of Immortals mixed in. No, he didn't need High Templar. I guess he did get out some of the DTs to make some of these Archons now, but realistically, Mighty Putty has also been sitting on a very low-tech army comparatively for PvP, which I definitely started off this match talking about, oh, you know, this map looks like it's going to be great to tech up, get up your economy, but no, it's been non-stop action for a while. Partially thanks to these Phoenix that Rotterdam has finally been able to reproduce in pretty high numbers. Now we got the Voideries being made, though, and that is going to be a scary revelation, no pun intended, for Mighty Putty. Phoenix kind of sacrificing a few of themselves to take out a lot of those workers, but here we go. Main army of Mighty Putty moves on into that new 5th expansion. Rotterdam not exactly in the greatest spot right now, moving up a ramp. Plus an overcharge is helping out quite a bit, but now the Phoenix come in. This is the moment for him to strike. He lifts up almost all of the Immortals. I think that 1 or 2 of them may still be on the ground attacking. The Stalkers blink forward, the Void Rays now overcharging, and it looks like it's going to be enough to maybe push Mighty Putty back. Rotterdam is definitely taking a good supply lead, and yeah, that should be enough. Although these Immortals, oh my god, the Immortals from Mighty Putty, the blink forward aggressively. I don't think that the Phoenix have enough energy left over. They can't really lift anything up. Oh my god, the bane of the existence. You don't expect to run into this problem when you have this many Phoenix, but it's just been so constantly, both these players have engaged in battle for so long that all of the Phoenix for Rotterdam are constantly out of energy. More Voiders coming in, but I think Rotterdam has enough to push this back. The reinforcements for Mighty Putty are a little bit too slow to come in, and Rotterdam manages to salvage his expansion. He loses a few workers, I think, in the process, but he does manage to keep his expansion alive, and that's worth a lot. Considering, well, I guess, you know, Mighty Putty does have his own 5th expansion, so he's not exactly too far behind in income. You can see it's pretty similar. It's a really close game. There is a +1 armor advantage in favor of Rotterdam, but I don't know. Is that offset by the fact that he's still making units out of gateways? Oh, but High Templars not being worked in. Sorry, excuse me. That would make too much sense. High Templars being made slowly but surely out of the gateway. How often do I get to say that? Blink forward. Gonna be able to snipe or taking some health off of these Phoenix, but still in very, very healthy numbers. Oh, these Stalkers are really going aggressive, and I think that I like the fact that he's able to continuously chase after those Phoenix, because if he's chasing after the Phoenix, he knows that they're running into the corner, and if they're running into the corner, they are not picking off workers. They're not being annoying sons of guns. Although this War Prism is headed in a very questionable area. It's like, I chased the Phoenix to the top right. You know where I should send my War Prism? To the top right. Free pick off for Rotterdam. Of course, this game has been hectic, so I don't blame Mighty Putty. Probably was assuming, okay, well, the Phoenix are probably going to move cut down to the bottom left or something. So either way, though, Void Ray counts continuing to build. I think a few of the Void Rays ended up dying in that last engagement, but well, Rotterdam, I guess he's not quite starting up that next round of Void Rays. I could have sworn he also had +1 air weapons coming up at some point really early on in the game, but doesn't look like it after all. Another expansion being taken over here for Rotterdam. And another expansion for Mighty Putty. But the difference is Rotterdam is almost maxed out, and he has got a ballin' army. Look at this. We got a High Templars in the mix. We got a few Immortals. We got Zealots. Oh, without charge, Rotterdam, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Look at all these zealots. Look at all these sad zealots that have skipped leg day at the gym. Never skip leg day, Rotterdam. Okay, well, the Phoenix continue to move in. And the nice thing is these Phoenix are now getting a continued scatter. Ooh, nice feedbacks. I didn't see the Temple Archives finished up over here with Mighty Putty. What is with this building? Does it have ice on it? Oh, that is so cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yeah, I guess all of the buildings have ice on them. That is so sick, but okay, ignore that. We had a Skype message going off. That was me, not you guys, but the zealots. They got no messages going. Mighty Putty has got a message saying his Nexus just got canceled, or had to be canceled. Loud and clear, he knows he's got to do something. I would say because his economy is in tatters, but it's really not. Both of these players still have booming economies, even if they lose their new expansions. But I think he still wants to equalize some of that damage. He's going to catch Rotterdam fairly out of position. Zealous with charge. Mighty Putty's Zealots have not skipped leg day, despite the fact that he doesn't actually have that many of them. Storm going down, though, is going to be able to chase that army back. At the same time, look at this warping of Zealots and DTs from the War Prism, obliterating this expansion on the backside, killing off the Templar Archives. That's actually a pretty big deal. Rotterdam not going to be able to reproduce any of those, and guess what? Phoenix show up. Okay, what are you going to do? Lift up all of these Zealots? Okay, good job with that, first of all. If you can get all of that done and kill them off in time before they do even more devastating damage. But how are you going to deal with the DTs? More photon cannons coming down, but those are getting picked off pretty damn quickly with +3 weapons. DTs alone do not need to be here. The Zealots can rip apart those cannons. And now we have Mighty Putty charging on forward the low-tech Gateway army. Literally all of these units can be made out of the Gateway. Void Rays and Psystorm going down, though. They're going to be able to finally push back Mighty Putty. The damage has been done, though. Not necessarily on the new booming expansions, but still on a lot of the old buildings. The tech, the Stargates have all been taken out. Look at this money buildup from Rotterdam. He's got almost a 3K bank because he can't spend it. He's been relying on making Zealots out of his gateways, not warp gates. Oh my god, this is actual insanity. And some of those, how many gateways is he down to? He's down to a measly 8, and 2 of these gateways have been depowered. One of these gateways still may die. No, okay. He's got to repower some of those gateways. Either way, though, this is the moment to strike for Mighty Putty, because the reinforcements are going to be very slow for Rotterdam. Mortal getting very low on health, but it just feels like the tech isn't quite there. Mighty Putty should have... No, he doesn't have Storm Researchers just now starting up. Mighty Putty, you're killing me. Oh, man, Storm would actually have done wonders versus this army. Would have activated that Immortal Hardened Shields immediately on a lot of these guys. Actually, you know, even feedbacks would not be too bad. Feedbacking his opponent's High Templars to prevent the Storm from raining down on top of all these Adepts and the Zealots really wouldn't be too bad of an option. Okay, oh god, I can't believe there's more Zealots still alive somehow. I believe the War Prism finally got picked off by the Phoenix. And once again, a handful of DTs in the mix, gonna pick off a fresh Immortal. Something that Rotterdam really did not want to be losing right now. DT is still gonna go completely undetected. And I do feel like this game is slowly shifting more and more into the Mighty Putty's favor. With Storm finishing up pretty soon, all these High Templars are going to have a lot of energy. Granted, they could still be fed back. He's got the Archons. He's got, I believe, the upgrades. No, he still has not got those... He doesn't have any of the armor upgrades. He has a shield upgrade, which is nice for those Adepts as well as the Archons, but no armor upgrades. Looks like Rotterdam finally getting on top of those upgrades himself with a shield upgrade. Wow, the Phoenix did not find that War Prism. In fact, look at this. Another massive warp-in of Zealots. This is just what Mighty Putty can do when you have Warp Gate technology. Okay, Storm's going down for both sides. I think that Mighty Putty Storm's a little bit more effective than Rotterdam's over there. Close and Overcharge is going to help out a little bit in buying some time. Kills off, I think, like 2 Zealots over there. Mighty Putty still got a pretty awesome army and is continuing to get the damage done. Oh god, if he kills off the Cybernetics core, even more Zealots warped in. He's gonna kill off the Nexus, depowering the robotics facility. We have another engagement being teased at, and Archon does go down. Good storms on both sides. The Voider is actually taking a lot of damage there as well. Even the Phoenix getting a little bit lower. Rotterdam still has the tech advantage in his army, but is slowly getting whittled away by the zealots that have just taken out all the tech. Is Rotterdam reproducing it? He does have another robotic facility over at this expansion, but oh god, he's got this expansion as well. But look at this oversaturation. Even this base is well oversaturated. This base effectively mined out. There's one mineral patch left over. And all the other bases have effectively been taken out. In the meanwhile, Mighty Putty sticking true to his guns. Gateway units or bust. I think he's halted Immortal production. He says, to hell with the Immortals. What am I going to use them for? Ooh, nice feedbacks. Rotterdam catching a lot of those, his opponent's High Templars. And now he can storm without having to worry about his own units getting stormed. Picking up some of these units with the remaining Phoenix. There's not many of them left, but damn are they valuable in getting some of the free pickoffs. And boy, does Rotterdam need free pickoffs right now. He's going to have a hard time replenishing this army, but he does get up another expansion. A well-needed expansion, which, funny enough, is not too far from his opponent's expansion. Up here in the top right, I have really got to hand it to Mighty Putty. The expansion rate of Mighty Putty is out of control right now. And he's got the worker count to boot and back this up as well. A couple of zealots trying to walk their way in over here. It's not the massive number of zealots that he had in some of those earlier warpins, but by Jove, he kills off a photon cannon and may even kill off another one. And that, in my book, is a solid half victory. You can warp in a lot more photon cannons as well as some DTs again later on. And maybe make that work later. Looks like some more zealots get warped in. Warp Prism is going to get chased down by a handful of Phoenix. Rotterdam's composition has basically shifted focus into primarily, I guess, the Void Rays as well as the Immortals. Those are the two big units in Rotterdam's army. Oh, looks like a very, very vulnerable expansion, though. The Zealots managed to pull the entire army of Rotterdam out of position. That's what the problem when you have a lot of power units, is that if they do need a supporting base, it's a lot harder to split up your army. Phoenix gonna go try and go in, taking a lot of damage. There aren't that many Phoenix, so losing any of these is actually a bit of a pain. Kills off a few workers, but Mighty Putty still has 63 to work with. Not too bad. Probably wants to get some more photon cannons down over there. Oh no, Rotterdam gonna realizing very soon. Oh, wait a second. You're actually mining from one of the expansions on my side of the map. Haha. You got some warpins of some DTs over here. Rotterdam, I don't really know how I feel about sacrificing the workers. I almost feel like sending them back would be nice, but I guess he is oversaturated in most of these bases. Okay, center expansion tries to get attacked. He forces out the prismatic alignment on almost every single Void Ray, but oh, he's got to get out of there. Mighty Putty does not want to lose any of these units. He does have some stores available. Ooh, Rotterdam not feeling comfortable about moving down that ramp, and I think it's a good decision. Rotterdam sends his entire army up over here to the top right. He's going to be able to kill off quite a few workers. This does give Mighty Putty a chance, an opportunity to trap in this army of Rotterdam. The workers managed to retreat out of there safely, funny enough. Mighty Putty's just going for the expansion of Rotterdam. I guess he's going to try and cut him and bleed him dry. If he does get this expansion, that is almost all the mining bases. Ooh, a nice storm. Look at all those Immortal Hardened Shields that just got triggered. More storms going to be plummeting down on this army. The Void Ray's also getting caught in a lot of them. This could be the engagement that Mighty Putty was asking for, but half of his army, a lot of the army is sitting in the backside, not actually engaging over here. And the Void Ray's prismatic alignment, oh, it doesn't matter. The storms take care of them. It's mostly Immortals versus Stalkers, though, and the Immortals are going to win that fight hard. The Zealots and the Adepts needed to be on the front lines, but they were busy trying to get damage done to photon cannons of all things. Mighty Putty, he's coming in with some more Adepts from the backside. He's got Adepts warping in from this Warp Prism. He has the reinforcement advantage. Not something you get to talk about very often in a PvP, but the Immortals hold strong. The Void is going after the Warp Prism. He takes it out. The reinforcements, oh, they can still come from this Nexus. Oh man, one DT. I'm praying for you right now, Mighty Putty. Warp in a DT. There it is. Sniping off some of these weakened Immortals will do wonders. Sniping off the weakened Stalker. Going after the DT, or the Immortal, he does get it. Is going to be able to force Rotterdam back. And now he's a retreats back in. Retreat. Send these probes back to mining. Oh man, he's still got some good mining going on. He's going to be very oversaturated soon. Oh, a couple of probes from Rotterdam going to scout out those workers, but I think Mighty Putty should be able to get out of there safely. Rotterdam does not have a booming army right now, nor does he have a booming economy. I mean, the income tab does really tell the tale. Rotterdam really hasn't been able to establish this expansion. I don't blame him. You might be thinking, why hasn't he established it? It's such a mistake. But you have to remember, he's been desperately warping in units. He's on effectively a one-base mining economy. And also, he's got, again, power units. Power units cannot be split up very effectively. That is the big advantage of Mighty Putty's army versus, I guess, Rotterdam's army, which wins a straight-up fight a lot of the time, but can't be split up in multiple locations. He's been pulled apart a lot this game. Oh man, Rotterdam, I can't believe he's gotten into a PvP to this point, the 30-minute mark, and he still has not got Warp Gate. What a boy. What a man. Sorry, not a boy, what a man. A manly man of the manliest caliber. Mighty Putty just going to come in over here and scout out and confirm, okay, you got no Nexus over here. That's good. I might as well take out the pylons, at least cut down on some of these cannons. They may be powered for a little bit longer, but ooh, Rotterdam is out for blood. He knows that this expansion is pretty close by, and Mighty Putty, I almost like it more if you retreat out of here. Some feedback's going down, I think. Oh, Storm's going down as well. But yeah, I think you just got to give this one up. Mighty Putty, you do not have the army to contend with this. Rotterdam holding strong on a very, very low econ, but he's establishing a new expansion, something he is in desperate need of. Ooh, picking up a couple of the workers. The 5-stalker hit squad with Blink gonna be able to take out some of the pylons and just be generally annoying to Rotterdam. In no danger of being supply blocked just yet, but really needs to send all of his, or a bunch of his army over here to help deal with this. Photon cannons doing a good job of defending a little bit, but eventually you do start to run low on them. Look at all the long-distance mining probes for Mighty Putty, who's done a great job of just keeping up that worker count. Even when he loses bases, I mean, this really is a lesson to any players out there that when you are going to lose a base, get your workers out of there. They will find use eventually. You just have to wait it out. But Rotterdam, moving down over here, he's been able to keep an eye apparently on where Mighty Putty is moving. He's got a really good eye on this because all of his expansions are on the top right. If he did not realize exactly where Mighty Putty's army was going, he would be in a lot of danger of losing this, but oh, he may still be. DT is making their way in. One DT going on the Nexus, one DT going on the workers. This is going to be the only mining base very soon for Rotterdam since he doesn't have any observers anywhere close by. Nowhere even remotely close by, I think. It's a very dead expansion. Might have to cut his losses over there, but that is a painful loss. Oh, beautiful storm. Gets a lot of these high Templars pretty low in health, and that might not seem like the biggest deal since they still can storm, but even feedbacks will end up killing them off. And this is almost like a base trade. They're feet away from each other, but Mighty Putty's going to be able to give up, or going to give up this base, and Rotterdam is just giving up photon cans. This is a good trade for Rotterdam. The question is, does he eventually retreat back? This is his main important mining base, but a lot of his production is just a little bit further forward. Mighty Putty doesn't actually have that many more mining bases. He's got this one in the bottom left. He's got this one that's still pretty fresh, that's going up, but is Rotterdam really going to commit in over here? Is he going to move back? The production is still pretty safely tucked away over here from Mighty Putty. And he's still got a bit of an economy. Okay, well, this economy is going to get thrashed right now. This is a lot of workers potentially be losing, but he escapes out of there with a good chunk of them. Rotterdam's not going after the workers. He's going after the Nexus right now. Production, instead, getting it taken out. So both these players are going to be hampered in terms of production. Ironically enough, if you don't have the economy, you can't produce. And if you don't have the buildings to produce, you cannot produce. Oh, but Mighty Putty not actually going to have much of an economy. He's been mined out of this expansion. He doesn't have any more Nexus, really, that are actually mining or mining capable. Tough pill for Mighty Putty to swallow, but he does still have 500 minerals left over. He's got a lot of DTs. They're being detected by this observer. He's taking out a lot of production for Rotterdam. Any free pickoffs, any kind of pickoffs whatsoever will be incredibly valuable for both of these players. This has turned into a full base trade at the 33-minute mark and already a scrappy game. Okay, photon cannons, not going to be able to get any kind of really good damage done. Actually, not getting anything past shields. Gets a stalker low, but Rotterdam's army pretty damn strong with a lot of immortals. I've really got to give a bit of favoritism to Rotterdam in the direct army fight, but in terms of the scrappiness, Blink Stalker is going to be really, really good. In fact, Rotterdam could very well, with only, what's that? Oh, he does have some income somewhere. Where is he at? Oh, he's still mining over here. Ooh. Getting up a lot of pylons because he's supply blocked. He can't make any more units. I'm a bit surprised, though. I'm almost surprised he doesn't throw down more photon cannons. I feel like just preventing your opponent from killing all of your buildings while you're killing theirs isn't maybe a little bit more valuable than just trying to build or unsupply block yourself so you can make more units. Oh, poaching forward. Rotterdam, he knows where the army is. He's going for feedbacks. Oh no, he goes for the storm. Gets one feedback off, loses the High Templar, but gets a lot of these High Templar very low in health. Poaching overcharge, also going to be valuable. Rotterdam needs to retreat back. Needs to defend. Oh, 1 DT. 1 DT, where is it? Okay, he's picking away at this simulator. Couple of DTs, actually. Oh, wow. Has managed to keep a War Prism alive, but for how much longer? Void Ray does get taken out. War Prism survives, still has some shields left over as well. Oh, those Void Rays are scary. Alright, looks like Temple Archives slowly getting worked away at. Try and prevent Rotterdam from warping in any more of those Archons or High Templar. If he ever gets on supply block, that will be something you can do with all that gas. So it's actually a pretty valuable thing for that Adept to be working on that Templar Archives. May not seem like a big deal. Or sorry, for Mighty Putty to be working on those. But now the middle line is under attack. And Rotterdam is starting to bleed out some of those workers that he needs. In the meanwhile, long distance mining for Mighty Putty has enough for a Nexus now. Just being here is actually buying himself space. Space he can work with. Baiting out a lot of storms as well. Not actually landing on many of these units, but he still has the inferior army. And Rotterdam is finally out of the choke point. Oh, feedback going down. Killing off a lot of the High Templars. That's all of the High Templars. More High Templars coming in from the side. Storming on top of the Stalkers. Stalkers do get the pick off it, but Archon is instead made, and all of these Stalkers have lost their shields. I think this might just be a little bit too much. Mighty Putty's down to just 34 army supply. Rotterdam has an insane army supply, and he's established another expansion. This is the game-changing maneuver. Oh, but the DTs are going after the photon cannons. Nice War Prism micro. Takes out all of them. There's no more detection. Okay, there is still an observer over here, but there's nothing to actually kill the DTs. Mighty Putty, he's not out of this just yet. It's looking really grim, but look at this. He's pulling Rotterdam back. His entire army is retreating back home. He's got, what, 1 Zealot or something? No, that's going to be taken care of by just the Adepts. 1 Zealot does move in over here and scouts out the new mining, or the new expansion location. But the Stalkers are still alive. The DT is still doing some good work. What I think Mighty Putty would do, he would kill for a Phoenix and an Observer. Or even an Oracle. Stasis trap on that army of Rotterdam, just buying more time. That is the name of the game for Mighty Putty, and he has got some of the best units in the game for buying time. The question is, can he make the plays? Can he get the positional advantages he needs? 1 Zealot, how many kills does it have? It has 3 kills. Because it still doesn't have charge. But no, that's going to be a GG. It's called. Rotterdam takes the game in a crazy, crazy awesome series. Congratulations. What? Oh my god, a 37-minute game, almost 40 minutes. Thank you so much, Rotterdam, for sending me this game. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of impromptu cast of the greatest game that Rotterdam has ever played. Yeah, that is going to be it. My name has been Fear Dragon, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go check out Rotterdam. Twitter.com/Rotterdam08, and I believe Twitch.tv/Rotterdam08. He has one of the sickest streams ever. Oh my god, he was still in the game. This is a replay. How long does he just sit around and bask in the glory? Another 2 minutes of basking in the glory and just chilling with his army, doing some damage with that 1 Zealot. Wins the game at the 40-minute mark with a PvP without Warp Gate. Look at that. What a beautiful, handsome, handsome devil. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, and that's not actually see you guys next time for the stream. That's just where I'm doing the YouTube cut.